Your great-grandparents were better with money than you are. Not because they were smarter, not because they had some secret. They were living through the worst economic collapse in modern history, and they had no choice but to figure it out. Groceries are up 25% since 2020. Rent in most cities has doubled in a decade. And somehow we're all working harder than ever and still feeling like we're barely keeping up. Meanwhile, there were families in the 1930s feeding 5 people on $5 a week. No credit cards, no food delivery apps, no safety net. And the habits they built to survive? Some of them would save the average person $500 to $1,000 a month right now, in 2026. I'm not saying life was better during the Great Depression. It absolutely was not. But there's a reason your grandparents had a completely different relationship with money than most of us do today. They were forced to learn things we were never taught. And before you think this is some just stop buying coffee lecture, it's not. What I'm going to show you is a completely different way of thinking about money that your grandparents understood instinctively, and that most of us were never taught. In the next 6 minutes, I'm breaking down 8 Depression-era money habits, the exact modern equivalent for each one, and the specific dollar amount each one could save you. Added up, we're talking $6,000 or more a year. Let's get into it. Section 1. Food habits. They treated food like currency. Habit 1. They never threw food away. During the Depression, nothing edible left the kitchen. Vegetable scraps became broth. Stale bread became breadcrumbs. Leftover fat was saved for cooking. Waste was the difference between eating and not eating. Modern equivalent, meal prepping and a use-it-up grocery system. The average American household throws away $125 a month in food. One Sunday fridge audit before you shop can cut your grocery bill by $150 to $250 a month. Here's why this works. When you see the food before you shop, your brain switches from "what do I want" to "what do I have." That one mental shift kills impulse buying at the grocery store before it starts. Habit 2. They cooked from scratch, not from a box. Prepackaged food barely existed in the 1930s. Modern equivalent, shifting 3 to 4 meals a week from processed or takeout to scratch cooking. A home-cooked meal costs $3. The same thing on DoorDash costs $38 for 2 people. Swap 4 meals a week, and you save $300 to $500 a month. Now those first 2 habits are about food. But the next 2 are where it gets really interesting, because they're about something most people don't even realize is draining their money. Section 2. Spending habits. They bought less, but they bought better. Habit 3. They used things until they were genuinely worn out. In the 1930s, shoes were resoled 2 or 3 times before replacement. Clothes were mended, not discarded. The concept of replacing something because a newer version existed wasn't part of the culture. Modern equivalent, the repair before replace rule. Before buying anything to replace something you own, ask, can it be repaired? Can it last one more season? The average American spends over $1,800 a year on clothing alone. Applying this rule to clothing, electronics, and household items saves $100 to $200 a month. Habit 4. They had 0 subscriptions, and they were ruthless about every recurring cost. Depression-era families scrutinized every recurring expense. If something wasn't actively being used, it was cut. No emotional attachment. No, I might use it next month. Gone. Modern equivalent. A quarterly subscription audit. The average American spends $219 a month on subscriptions, and most people underestimate their spending by nearly 50%. Pull up your bank statement. List every recurring charge. Cancel anything you haven't used in 30 days. Most people find $50 to $100 they can cut immediately. The reason subscriptions are so dangerous is something called the endowment effect. Once you feel like you own something, canceling it feels like losing it. That's why companies offer free trials. They know, once you're in, your brain will fight to keep it, even when you're not using it. All right, so we've covered food and spending. But the next section is honestly the most powerful part of this entire video, because these habits aren't about specific purchases. They're about rewiring how your brain thinks about money. Section 3. Mindset Habits. They thought in systems, not splurges. Habit 5. They budgeted every single dollar before it was spent. This wasn't optional in the 1930s. When your income is $15 a week and rent is $5, you don't have the luxury of seeing where the money goes. Every dollar had a job before it arrived. Modern equivalent: assigning every dollar a category before the month starts. A free app or a simple spreadsheet works. You're deciding in advance what each dollar will do. People who switch to this system save $200 to $400 more per month in the first 3 months. Not because they earn more, because they stop the unconscious spending. Habit 6. They built a buffer before anything else. Depression-era families who survived almost always had some form of reserve, even a small one. Right now, 56% of Americans can't cover an unexpected $1,000 expense without going into debt. Automate a transfer of even $25 to $50 a week into a separate high-yield savings account, paying around 4.5 to 5% APY. Don't touch it. Let it grow. Habit 7. They made what they could and only bought what they couldn't. Victory gardens weren't a lifestyle trend. They were a food security strategy. Modern equivalent: 1. Make it, don't buy it swap per week. A DIY cleaner costs 15 cents versus $5 at the store. One swap a week adds up to $300 to $600 saved per year. Habit 8. They never confused want with need. Depression-era families didn't have the option of impulse buying. No Amazon, no one-click checkout. If you wanted something, you had to physically go get it, which created a natural waiting period that filtered out most impulse purchases. Modern equivalent: the 48-hour rule for any non-essential purchase over $30. Before buying anything that isn't food, a bill, or a genuine necessity, close the tab. Set a reminder for 48 hours. Most impulse buys don't survive the wait. This single habit saves $100 to $250 a month for the average online shopper. This works because of how your brain processes purchases. The moment you see something you want, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical triggered by social media notifications and junk food. That dopamine is what makes you feel like you need it right now. But dopamine fades fast. Give it 48 hours and your prefrontal cortex, the rational planning part of your brain, catches up. That's when most people realize they didn't actually want it. Here are 4 things you can do this week, not someday, this week, based on everything we just covered. Step 1. Do a fridge audit before your next grocery run. Pull out everything that needs to be used. Plan 3 meals around it. Target: reduce your grocery bill by $30 this week. Step 2. Pull up your last 2 bank statements. Highlight every recurring charge. Cancel anything you haven't used in 30 days. Most people find $50 to $100 in 10 minutes. Step 3. Open a separate savings account, takes under 5 minutes, and automate a $25 weekly transfer. Label it Emergency Fund. Don't touch it. Step 4. The next time you're about to buy something non-essential online, close the tab. Set a reminder for 48 hours. See how many of those purchases you still want. And if you want to make this even easier, I've put together a free 1-page checklist with all 8 habits and their modern equivalents. Link in the description. Print it out, stick it on your fridge, and work through 1 habit a week. The families who made it through the Great Depression didn't have more money than everyone else. They had better habits. The cost of living in 2026 isn't the Great Depression, but the principles that worked then, they're still working. And the people quietly using them right now are building financial cushions while everyone else wonders where their paycheck went. If this was useful, hit subscribe. I put out practical money content every week. No fluff. No get-rich-quick nonsense. And if you want to go deeper on the budgeting side, the next video walks through the exact zero-based budgeting system step by step with a free template. I'll see you there.